What's going on? It's time for another episode of Too Hard for the Radio, transmitting from the future free state of Greater Idaho. I am the one-armed madman. And back with us, he's back for week 2, another week in a row. He's got a Triumph shirt on. What the hell is going on? It's Nolan 5150.
Yo.
What's up, dude? Did you wear that to work today?
Oh, fuck no. I would probably get sent home. I've thought about testing the waters a couple times because I got a bunch of shirts from the old shop and stuff, but yeah.
You know, it is what it is. You got to support Triumph. They're fucking kicking ass right now. They got a podium. They got a podium at in outdoors this last weekend at Unadilla, hardest track on the circuit, I think. You know, 3rd place. That's a big fucking deal. And they're doing good in MXGP also. MXGP, I think they've gotten a couple podiums. One of their guys almost won a qualifying race this weekend. He held on to the lead for until the last couple laps, and then he almost got the lead back. But it's just super cool to see them really embracing moto. You know, I kind of didn't expect them to go all in the way they did. I kind of thought they're going to make a bike. They'll have it. You know, some people will buy it, but for the most part, it's just going to be a bike. I didn't expect any of the baggage, but they have just gone over and above to they're sponsoring MXGP and Pro Motocross. So there's Triumph signs everywhere. You know, they're sponsoring certain things. So it's this and that brought to you by Triumph. So they just really fucking went for it, which is super cool to me.
Well, that's good. I mean, you gotta make your choice and kind of, either get in or get out, in my opinion. But that's one thing. I was never impressed with many of their motorcycles back in 2014, 2015. I liked the Daytona 675. For the price point, it was one hell of a bike to be able to get into. It's a 3-cylinder sport bike, Olin suspension, front and rear, stock, quick shift, a lot of carbon fiber, which I'm a whore for carbon fiber. But it was just a good, really good, solid,
that's a sweet looking bike.
Yeah, it was a good, solid, fun bike for the price point. I think back then it was 13 and change MSRP. That, and then
that's not bad.
One of their adventure bikes. They had a few different packages, but it was the Tiger. It was I got to put a few miles on Tiger on one of our shop rides, and it was actually fun and impressive compared to other brand adventure bikes. You know, so. They were cool, but everything else, all their the Scrambler was cool, but just not practical. Everything else was just super vintage, leaning without any actual real performance or I hate using this term, but creature comforts for the rider. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of Neanderthal technology. It was they were going hardcore into the hipster vintage market with most of the Bonneville, that crap. They're cool, nostalgic, look old, but are new, but not something I would ever buy.
What you're trying to say here is that it wouldn't pass the Whistling Diesel durability test.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my best joke. I couldn't.
No, that was pretty good. But going for them, I'm kind of curious if them going so hard into the MXGP market is an attempt for them to kind of dig out a little piece of the American market that they seem to, in my opinion, have just missed the mark. I have no idea what they're doing overseas, but as far as in the lower 48, not exactly a bike that I see too often, especially up here in Montana.
Well, according to them, and I'll kind of like paraphrase their reason for doing this, is that their clientele is literally dying. They have the same problem that Harley Davidson does. Harley Davidson answer, was to make an electric bike that nobody wants. Triumph's answer is, hey, we're going to lower the age of entry on our products significantly. So right now, they've got a barrier of entry at about 14 or 15 years old, which is great. If they start making smaller bikes, if maybe they put out a 2-stroke 80 or they try to put out like a competitive 4-stroke style 80, you're going to drop it down even further. And, if I was them, I'd be looking at Cobra. Cobra, right? That American brand. They make those little 50cc bikes. I'd buy them. Yeah. Fuck it. Let's just buy them, throw our name on it, and get kids on our shit immediately. Another cool thing they're doing is, I watched this video where they were kind of like brought the dirt bike into the shop for the first time, and they were just kind of talking about it, and they had the team there. They hired really great people to run their team, like really great people that have done it before. They all really get it. And like one of the things that really piqued my interest is they were talking about the shop. They were like, we want our shops to not just be a place where you come to buy parts or you come to like spend money. Like we want you to be able to hang out in here. So we're building our own furniture. We're doing all of our own decorations, and we're going to make this a place that you are not dreading to come to. And they're doing a cool thing with their bikes. It's not a warranty, but it's almost a warranty, where essentially like you can just bring it in, and if something's wrong, they're going to fix it. All of their mechanics now are all going to be certified dirt bike mechanics. They're all going to have to go back to school, which is cool, right? You get to learn something new and do something different. I'm sure it'd be fun for you if you got to work on a dirt bike every now and then.
Yeah, I definitely, that's one thing. It's a give and a take because at my old shop, there was probably, if I had to guess, there was probably over 200 different models of any manufacturers, whether it was a dirt bike, street bike, 4-wheeler. I got my hands into
Honda makes a lot of shit.
Personal watercraft, fucking generators, side by sides. You know what I mean? There was just a huge spectrum of any kind of machine that would roll into the door at any moment, and I was expected to wrench on it. So there's that, and it's difficult. But in my opinion, I think it made me a better technician in the long run. It definitely is a struggle. If you can't handle that kind of stuff, you weed out the weak links real quick. But at the same time, it gets a little repetitive, I guess, in the Harley
world.
Like
there's not much excitement about working on a generator.
No, not at all. But then it's like, okay,
it's like
road glide,
another
street
fucking
glide,
generator.
road glide,
Come
road
on,
glide, street glide, to Softail.
Yeah,
But
I think we're getting the Temecula treatment up here where I'm from. Yeah. I see side by sides fucking everywhere. I think a lot of you know what happened with Temecula, right? Is Temecula was just a desert. Nobody lived there. And then people in Orange County got fed up with the prices, so they sold their $1 million mansions and they moved out to Temecula and they bought motorhomes, side-by-sides, dirt bikes, and they started going out to Glamis. And pretty soon, that was the culture of the area. And I think those people who moved to Temecula, who moved to different places because, L.A. or Orange County is just too expensive, they're moving here now. And they're bringing all their toys with them. There's shops around here that they're selling toys like crazy. Riding places are opening up. I was actually at my little brother's birthday party yesterday, and the local track owner was out there, which was super cool to me because, like, when I grew up, like the races that I raced, they were big races. Like there was thousands of people there, and the owners didn't even give you the time of day. Like they didn't want to talk to you. They don't want to hear your feedback. They don't want to hear any of it. They just. And it was cool. Like, I haven't been out there, but I've kind of seen pictures of the track and shit. And like, we were talking racing because, I'm a racer and I can still talk racing and shit. And at one point, he's like, what do you think of the track? And I was like, well, I haven't been out there yet, but like, just based on pictures, I can tell you're battling hard pack and dust like crazy. And your track looks really fucking fast. And he was like, That's been a complaint, is the track's too fast and we haven't really figured it out. And I'm like, oh man, I'd love to come out there and help you slow the track down some. That's just my thing. I hated Hangtown because Hangtown was just wide open hard pack. I loved it when they put sand down, because when you've got sand, you can have the track as fast as you want. It's just a different dynamic. But man, you get that hard pack blue groove and you're wide open in fourth gear, like sliding the rear around corners. And it's just like, fuck, man, I don't want to do this anymore. It's fucking scary.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into it. We've got Harley Davidson back in the news. Good and bad, right? Let's get into it. Here,
Sturgis just ended.
Here they are. Here they are back in the news with, you guessed it, Tom Cruise. Such a gay bike. It's so douchey. It just... Tom Cruise is a bad dude, but come on, really? I guess.
What are you gonna do?
I wonder how long ago that was planned, is my question. Yeah. Because this just happened during the Olympics, and this ad is not doing them any favors. Straight up. And they don't really say that it's a Harley in there. I don't really understand why you would have your bike in there without any branding whatsoever going on. Are you just relying on people to guess what kind of bike he's riding? That's kind of dumb.
No, they're trying to be
subtle. You got this bike that nobody
Subtly
wants.
Woke.
Yeah, you've got this bike that literally nobody wants, and you've got a perfect opportunity to introduce it to the audience that you are trying to get at. Conservatives aren't really into the Olympics right now. I haven't been in the Olympics ever because I hate government, and why would I want to watch a celebration of government? It's a fucking joke to me. But conservatives aren't watching this. This is a liberal thing at this point. It's a globalist liberal event. Look at the opening ceremonies. There was a guy dressed up like a fairy with his nutsack hanging out of his Speedo. And I've never worn a Speedo, but I'm pretty sure I'd notice if my nutsack was hanging out of one if I was wearing one. You know what I'm saying? That's not done by accident. That is not an accident.
That's not a wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. It's like when chicks are walking around with their nipple hanging out. It's like, that's not an accident. Come on. I don't have tits, but whatever. I just couldn't believe that, this is what... Something like this is planned in advance. This wasn't a last-minute decision in a boardroom, we're getting crushed by everybody on Twitter. Let's get our bike into the Olympics. This was something that's been planned for a long time. It's a DEI thing. It's not necessarily DEI. It's an ESG thing. Hey, we want to be part of this globalist event that we all love, and we're going to fucking throw our electric bike in there that nobody wants. And this is it. This is where you would want to sell the bike, is in Europe, where people don't have to travel distance. You're looking at cities in Europe. That's where you're going to sell those fucking things. And wild.
They want 15-minute cities here, right? And so that was my question. That was a live wire?
It was a Del Mar. Yeah, it was a live wire Del Mar.
Okay. So technically that's not a Harley Davidson. And probably. I mean, even though there is a little Harley Davidson aftertaste,
they spun it off,
in it,
but they spun it off because they had to, and they're the ones that sunk all the money into it. So I would still call it a Harley personally.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. It's even though that's probably been in the works for over 2 years, that is like you said, that's an ESG grab, and
they could have used a V-twin. They could have used their new Sportster.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If there's not a bar and shield on it, which they don't have anymore, I know where you're at, and I agree with you, but I can't chalk that up as a negative to Harley.
Ooh, so this is good. I like when we disagree on things because it's very rare that we do, and podcasts are way more fun when people disagree on shit. My feeling on this would be that decision came straight from the Harley Davidson boardroom. Like, I don't think that this was a Livewire. You know, whoever's running Livewire right now, I don't know if anybody's running Livewire. I haven't really looked into their corporation all that much. I would imagine that it's still kind of controlled by the HD boardroom. And to me, like, this is exactly the direction they want to push the company. You know, he came out and said, we're going to be all electric someday, and we need to, you know, work towards sustainability. So to me, like, this was not an accident at all. Like, this is the boardroom coming together and going, we need to put a new face on the company. We need to get to new buyers. We need to get to the young. We need to get to the fucking liberals is who we need to get to, because we're not selling bikes to them. So let's stick this thing in an ad with Tom Cruise and hope people look it up. Like, to me, it's an absolutely HD thing. Like, let's say that none of this, like, ESG Robbie Starbucks story, let's say none of that happened, and they were just a normal boardroom, like, full of motorcycle guys, and none of this shit was going on. You'd look at that and go, huh, they decided to make a new company, and that company is pushing it in a different direction. You know, whoever's running Livewire, they decided to do this. But to me, that's not the case at all. I think that this is absolutely an HD thing. Like, and it's purely the direction they want the company to go in.
Yes, I agree that that is definitely the direction that the company is apparently trying to move towards. But the one question, like you touched on, I would be curious to know who is actually on the board making the shot caller for Livewire at this point in time. Is it still any?
Let's look it up.
Yeah.
I've got it here.
That's my only question.
So the Livewire CEO is named Carmen Donenz. That's a weird name. That sounds like an ESG or a DEI hire to me, right? Let's find the person with the weirdest name possible. Mr. Donez joins Livewire from Bombardier Recreational Products. So at least he came from a background of motorsports.
Bombardier.
Which is
Bombardier. It's
Bombardier.
French-Canadian.
Excuse me.
Right?
It's fucking Sea-Doo. Whatever. Whereas most recently president of BRP's Marine Group, having held various... So he's not a motorcycle guy. Again, we're going to take somebody from boating and stick them as the CEO because they are going to go along with the narrative. They're going to play ball. They're going to do exactly what we want. It's not like they're going to go out and get a CEO for Livewire that's wanting to sell V-twins. Like, they kind of have to have somebody on this level if they're going to want to push this thing. Yeah. So...
correct me if I'm wrong. That might actually be something else you got to look up, but I believe BRP is Can-Am.
Yeah, they're Can-Am, and I think Sea-Doo's gone now. But I think it was originally Sea-Doo, was Bombardier. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, you're right. You are correct on that. Let's do another video. So here we've got Harley Davidson at Sturgis.
Cycle Drag has fielded a lot of questions asking, is there really a Harley Davidson boycott going on at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally? So we wanted to come down here and investigate for you guys. If you remember, Cycle Drag showed you the Budweiser tent last year. Well, now this year, Harley is being accused of some by going woke, and there's an organized boycott.
It's like, wait a minute. You're accusing them. An accusation is something that may or may not be unfounded, right? Yeah. Like, I can accuse you of being a bad podcaster. That may or may not be true, right? But if I accuse Harley Davidson of woke, and I go and look at their corporate structure and their DEI handbooks and all that bullshit, that's not an accusation. That's pointing to the fact.
Yeah. One thing.
Take a look.
Go.
One thing that I've kind of just kind of the whole because where I'm at, we're kind of a mainline hub for everybody coming from Oregon, Washington, Northern California, Idaho, everybody pretty much going to Sturgis comes through us. So everything kind of has been a little bit light as far as traffic and I don't just people work in the shop, and I've heard that like attendance at Sturgis has been also down for this year. Not saying that definitely that the all the Harley woke stuff.
That's inflation.
That's what I'm getting at. I'm not saying that there isn't definitely a feeling of the general tone of the Harley Davidson community is not happy with the way that the company's going and the things that they're saying and doing and the direction they want the company to go. There is also, as far as like that video with a boycott, I would also have to attribute a little bit of the inflation and just the cost. The first thing, motorcycles are a luxury and a toy. When money gets tight and political environments are questionable and everything, first thing to go is toys and luxuries. So there's definitely a percentage of attendance and stuff that is a lack of attendance that's attributed to people not wanting to put the money out to travel and make the trip.
So, and this is, I was going to play the Bud Light video from last year, but we get it. It's the same thing. There was nobody there, essentially.
Yeah, I thought that was from last year,
everybody else
too.
was kind of pulled. Like, I was going to show that, but we don't really need to. There's a difference between this boycott and the Bud Light boycott. And the difference is that a 24-pack of Bud Light costs you a few bucks and your Harley costs you $30,000. So it's not like you're just going to throw your Harley away because you don't like the CEO at this point. Like, I've seen a lot of people are taking their badges off, which I could understand. But this is different. It is different. And this is something where, like, you know what? Let's go to this first. I'm going to skip around. I was going to play this later, but let's go to Sean Strickland.
I don't want to make this video. I love Harley. I've owned Harleys most of my life, but I will never own a Harley again. If you love America, you won't own a Harley. And let me explain to you guys why I'm so upset and why you should be upset. The CEO of Harley is a woke zealot. This man wrote the book on wokeism. He wants to fundamentally change who you are.
Sorry, the sound's so low on this one.
How you think and how you raise your family. This man
Blame him for recording in the garage.
For once, somebody with worse audio than us.
And now you have to ask yourself,
right. No, our idea is good.
Why?
Yeah.
Now it's not, but once it is.
Why does this company have this fundamental German zealot that knows nothing?
German, call him a Nazi like us, the hog Nazi.
And I'll tell you, there's two companies, Vanguard and BlackRock. $10 trillion. They own everything. When you want to know who the enemy is, it's BlackRock and Vanguard. Who is one of the biggest owners of these companies? George Soros. This German they put in this company is
Nazi.
an industry plant by this corrupt,
worked for Gucci,
sick leftist
Nazi company
oligarch to ruin, control, and manipulate Harley. If you love America, you will not own a Harley. And I'm getting rid of this Harley as soon as possible.
All right.
Guys,
so, first off, I don't believe you. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. And I'll tell you exactly why I don't believe you. This is why.
Thank you.
Guys,
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
I just found out Bud Light's a new sponsor. And goddamn, I applaud you guys. I am so fucking proud of you guys for doing the right things after that fuck up.
Money.
You know how I feel about transgenders. I go fucking hard. Just what I do. I'm the biggest advocate of biological females. If I said my views on transgenders, I would get kicked off Instagram. But I could not fucking wait to pick up a big old fucking Bud Light can and fix you, Bud Light, because you guys are doing the right fucking thing. I, Sean Strickland, a
Bud Light's turning the freaking frogs
of the American people, are going to fix you, Bud Light. Thank you for giving me money. Thank you for supporting my platform. I'm going to help you guys.
He was one of the biggest supporters of the Bud Light boycott. And as soon as they decided, hey, we're just going to throw some money at you, he was the first guy to stand up and take it. And to be honest, I do it too. I think that is the proper way to go. You guys made a mistake. Cash in. You fucked up.
Cash in.
And now you're trying to turn it around. And Bud Light had an easier way to turn it around because they had that one woke woman who was kind of the cause of this. She wasn't the CEO. She was like a marketing person or something like that. So they fire her. That's no problem. Then they can go, oh, we got rid of the garbage. We're back. Here's UFC. Here's some money. Thank you. Start buying our beer again.
Yeah.
Harley is it's still a Harley. Like, you still go to Milwaukee. They're building badass bikes. Like, the corporate structure and the DEI hiring and all this bullshit has not really affected the quality of their bikes. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, I would say that's a true statement. Yeah,
I would say so as well. So you get rid of that. You get rid of that guy, and you throw a moto guy in there, and we're back. We're back in. You know, and to me, that's the proper way. You want to yank your Harley symbol off your bike this weekend when you go to Sturgis? No problem. You want to toss it back on there next year after this guy's gone? I wouldn't be surprised if this guy's gone by next week.
Yeah,
I really wouldn't.
And like one thing I was gonna say, it's like even with the Bud Light thing, man. You know, I feel like it's kind of the same thing with politics in the United States. You know, you got to pander this way, that way, and you see the tide turning a little bit. So then you kind of just like intentionally take a step off the cliff a little bit, but then all of a sudden, oh wait, we got a parachute. You know, you got to create that buzz. Kind of, you know, no press is bad press kind of a thing. Like,
true.
you get your name out there for a really negative thing. You just get everybody fucking worked up, and then all of a sudden, wait, oh nope, actually, this is where we're going, and we're gonna make these changes and come back. We were wrong, and you just kind of like you just get everybody fucking all riled up and frothing, and then you're like, nope, we're correcting it.
You know what you do?
Come on back.
Here's exactly what you do. Like you said, you bring out the new Dyna because everybody's pissed off that they got rid of the Dyna, and you do an American flag edition.
Fuck yeah.
No one's going to buy it, but you go,
if
hey,
Trump,
look,
if Trump wins,
the
you
new
do a
Dyna
CVO Trump.
Patriot edition.
Yeah.
The Patriot edition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It'd be very, very easy for them to turn it around. Like, they're going to be out on that money for the live wire until they fold that company, because that bike's just not going to sell. That Del Mar that Tom Cruise was riding, it got terrible reviews. And I'm talking about not just like reviews from companies that don't like people who wanted that bike to be really good, hated.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why he's going to be gone. We started covering this over a year and a half ago, right? So on 3/14/23, I predicted that HD could be bankrupt within 5 years. A couple weeks after that, Barron's Magazine, which is a big-time stock magazine, said that this Harley Davidson is being treated like a bank stock. It could be an opportunity. That was after I said they could go bankrupt. Now, when I said that they could go bankrupt, the stock price was $39. Today, it's $26. It was it was 39 during the Barron's thing. Now it's 26. So they're down $13 a share. That is 50%, almost 50% down. They are getting crushed. And this is not a recent development. The stock didn't just trash after you know this Twitter report. Like, they're not selling bikes. That's the problem. And he's got to go no matter what. Like, this story, you can't keep him after this. You just can't. No matter if you want your company to go in that direction or not, that guy's got to go. Like, you got to bring in somebody who's going to keep it quiet, or, you know, just they can still do all of their woke DEI bullshit as long as they don't brag about it. No one's going to notice. Yeah. The problem is they've been bragging about it. You know, we went through that long DEI booklet that they have. It's just disgusting. And that's something that they are putting out to the public. Look at what we're doing. Look at how great we are. Look at how much we care about the planet. And we're going to save the planet through fucking motorcycle. It makes no sense. A company that makes internal combustion engines cannot have climate change agenda. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, and we've covered it on a couple other topics, like with outline two-strokes and stuff like that. It's just kind of like the same old story.
Yep,
I mean, you want to try to push that. You want to try to push that in the automotive or whatever, more mainstream. Motorcycles, really aren't mainstream. They're like I said, they're a luxury and a toy, and people that ride want to ride fun machines. And not saying I still would love. I would fucking love to be able to throw my leg over a live wire or something and take it around the block, just see how it does personally. You know what I mean? But I'm not. I would never fucking buy one.
Oh, of course not. It's a piece of shit. I mean, there's just there would be, it's a piece of shit, unfortunately. And that's not me being biased. Like, it's a piece of shit. Like, the thing catches on fire. You guys can't even work on them at your shop because you don't have a bomb shelter to keep them in. Like, the bike's just a piece of shit. Nobody wants it. Nobody's riding it. I actually went on to let's read some of this because it's kind of interesting. I went on to ChatGPT and just kind of asked some questions about, like, Johann Zeiss, the hog Nazi. And I asked it, is there any evidence that the Harley Davidson CEO rode motorcycles before he took the job? Now, this is its answer. Yes, Johann Zeiss, the CEO of Harley Davidson, has experience with motorcycles before he took the role. He has been known for his enthusiasm for motorcycles. For example, in an interview and reports, Zeiss has mentioned his personal interest in motorcycles and appreciation for Harley Davidson's culture and heritage. His experience and passion for motorcycling were part of what made him a fit for leading the iconic motorcycle brand. So right there, they're telling, oh yeah, this guy's into motorcycles, right? Yeah. Let's ask it a little bit different. Yes, I understand that. But did he ever speak about his love for motorcycles before he took the job? Are there any pictures of him riding before he took the job? Johann Zeiss, the CEO of Harley Davidson in 2020, there is limited public information or documents about his personal experiences with motorcycles. Zeiss' professional background primarily involves his work in business world, notably as the former CEO of Puma and as a businessman in interest. While Zeiss has expressed appreciation for Harley Davidson and its culture since taking the role, there is no substantial evidence or widely reported images of him riding motorcycles or discussing personal passion for motorcycles prior to his appointment. So the guy doesn't know dick about motorcycles. He probably never threw a leg over a bike before he took the job. And now all of a sudden that he's got the job, it's interesting to see, like, that's what AI is going to do. It's going to fuck with you. It's going to, this guy, he's a motorcycle guy. Hold on a second. And this happens with ChatGPT all the time. It gives me bullshit like that. And then I kind of go, oh, no.
Dude, but
then I asked it,
That's
so I asked
exactly
it,
what I was
Harley
gonna
Davidson
say.
bikes
Scary.
Yeah.
Because any Joe Schmo is just gonna go with what that initial answer is and fucking take it as fact.
He's a motorcycle guy. He's a motorcycle guy after he took the job because he had to be a motorcycle guy. The way he dresses, like, I was gonna play a couple of interviews with him, but I don't really feel like it. I think we've kind of beat this dead horse enough. And, like, he doesn't dress like he rides. You know what I mean? He's like in a t-shirt that's not a Harley Davidson t-shirt and jeans that look like they've only been worn once. And it's like, the guy's a suit. He's a fucking suit. And he throws on a pair of jeans and a old looking t-shirt for an interview. So, Harley guy. This is an American brand. Like, when you think of great American brands, you think fucking Ford, Chevrolet, Harley Davidson. Why the fuck would you put a Nazi on your board? Doesn't make sense. DEI Nazi.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is kind of fun with ChatGPT. So I asked it, are Harley Davidson bike owners owned by majority of conservatives or liberals? And it says, I don't know. And it says, they've, culture associations. Harley Davidson has historically been associated with American ruggedness and individualism. These are often resonate with Conservative values. The association might suggest a higher prevalence of conservative-leaning individuals among its customer base. Who would have thought something like that? That's weird, right?
Weird, yeah.
Marketing and branding. Harley Davidson marketing has traditionally appealed to the themes of freedom and rebellion, which might also align with conservative values. Imagine that. Demographic trends. Ownership demographics for Harley Davidson motorcycles might reflect broader trends in motorcycle culture and consumer preferences, which is influenced by various factors beyond politics. Oh, but, just because it's clear that conservatives own the bikes, they might not, because we can't just be racist or whatever. I'm an AI. I can't give you actual numbers. Are you saying, and then I ask, are you saying their line of electric bikes are aimed at liberal base? Harley Davidson's line of electric bikes, such as Livewire, is designed to appeal to a broader and diverse audience rather than targeting a specific political base. Oh, so basically, yeah, we're targeting them. Huh. I continue. How are these bikes selling? Electric bikes. As of recent reports, Harley Davidson electric bike, the Livewire, has seen mixed results in terms of sales. And it won't ever give you a number on anything. It never wants to give you a number. You remember during COVID when they're like, oh, hospitalizations are up 50% with children. It's like 50% of what? Was there 3 children and now there's 6? Or was there 50 children and now there's 100? We don't know. And it's probably because it's the latter. How many Livewires has Harley Davidson sold? This is approximately 6,000. I go, no, they've sold less than 1,500. You're right. As of 2023, Harley Davidson has sold less than 1,500 Livewires.
You called out ChatGPT?
Yeah, and it always gets shit wrong like that. It's hilarious, dude. I love it when I tell it that it's wrong at math. I'll give it a math
dumbass
problem.
robot.
Like, that's wrong. Yeah, it's stupid. It's stupid. So, like, when you really push this thing, you can get answers out of it, but the answer that it wants to give you is so fucking stupid. It's just ridiculous. All right, let's get a couple more videos in. Oh, we're only at 37. I thought we were further than that. Let's check in with a brand that doesn't give a shit about politics.
Well, I'm here to report to you another win in our war on wokeness. And before I begin, I just want to tell y'all, I was not paid for this. I did not do a sponsorship with this company, but I need to talk about Indian Motorcycle, which is the first motorcycle company in America. Indian Motorcycle had one reference to DEI on their website. This is what it looked like. And I'm happy to report to you that that has been removed. And not only has it been removed, but I was able to get comment from Indian Motorcycle where they told me that they are affirming that they will continue to make their bikes 100% here in the United States of America when they are for sale here in the United States of America.
That's fucking cool. Not just that they're making bikes here, that they're selling bikes here, but they were actually reached out to this guy and said, this is what we're doing. We don't give a shit about any of this bullshit that Harley Davidson. We just want to make you a good bike, an American bike, and we want you to be happy with it. And that's what capitalism should be.
What was the response to the DEI? Because he flashed up like a...
They took it down. They took it down. So, again, this is the Bud Light treatment. Hey, you fucked up. We caught you. Turn it around or else, essentially. Yeah. And it's really cool that we have this power now, that the consumer has this power over, a lot of people think like, especially, commies and leftists, they think that, capitalism is essentially these greedy capitalists who rip everybody off for everything. But that's not how it goes. Like, sellers don't set prices. Buyers set prices. When I rent these rooms out at my house, I list them for as much as I possibly can, and I don't get it because right now this room is not, like, the consumer does not think the room is worth as much as I do, and I have to take the price that the consumer is willing to give me. I think it's worth $1,200 a month. The consumer thinks it's worth $900. I've only ever, I've been able to get $900 for it, but I haven't been able to get any more. And you're damn straight I'd rather get $1,200 for it, but I can't.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
Like Harley Davidson, who is choosing to go down a path where they are going to be making a bunch of bikes that they sell here in America in Thailand. Not only that, But at a time where Harley has bikers taking the shield off their bikes because they're so embarrassed by what the company has done in their adoption of woke policies, you've really got to ask yourself, how is Harley Davidson going to continue to keep this woke stuff going on at the company when their main competitor, Indian, is choosing to just make great bikes? That's what a source has told me, is they just want to make great bikes for everybody in America, period. They're not getting into social issues, politics. That is it. That's all people want. They just want you to make great products, great customer service. And just being real, this bike looks cool. You know, at $12,999, that seems like a good deal to me for a motorcycle. But, you know, you guys be the judge. As for Harley, the clock is ticking. Daily Mail sent a reporter to Sturgis who described what's happening as a full-blown rebellion against Harley. Harley, if you're smart, you're going to turn back.
Yeah, he's right. You're going to turn back. And he is right about that Scout Bobber. That's a sweet-looking bike. I think that's one of the better-looking bikes that you can buy in America right now, as far as, like, you know, the classic Bobber-looking type. I think it's a sweet-looking bike. Oh, yeah, you're right. We were talking about Buell yesterday. We were talking about Harley Davidson. They were kind of confused about what's going on, and I kind of explained it to them. And I was like, man, I sure wish they would have given that, you know, $150 million to Eric Buell instead of that fucking Livewire. Imagine what he could have done with $150 million. You know, the guy's a fucking genius.
I feel like we touched on it. I can't remember. I know I didn't get any information, but is Eric Buell actually involved in like the new revamping of the company?
I'm not sure. I am not sure. I think so. But I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. But
the I wouldn't be surprised if he's not, because the bike is kind of they're going a different direction than this bad boy. That's for sure.
Yeah. So my one thing with Indian, I don't have an opinion about that. What was it? A Scout Bobber that he showed?
Yeah.
I don't really have an. I couldn't really see very well from the picture. I've never seen one in person, but every other like touring bike Indian that I've seen, I used to think Harley touring bikes looked fucking stupid, but now
they grow on you.
I've seen the Indian ones, and I don't know, man. I like everything American made, cool. Yeah, I get that, support that, but I really am not impressed with the aesthetics of any Indian touring bike that I've seen. They kind of have. There's some models that kind of have the same thing, like Triumph that I touched on earlier, how it's very vintage, classic feel vibe, which is cool, but that's not like sustainable. Like have a retro model or something that you sell or just have available, but then it's as far as like cutting edge, you know, front wave of modern touring V-twin motorcycles. I don't like the Indians that I've seen.
Interesting. Yeah, so we've got an Indian dealership right next door to our Harley dealership. I think they're probably owned by the same people. And I've always been pretty impressed with their bikes. I enjoy that Bobber, the black one. I think it looks fucking sweet.
I've never seen the Bobber. I've never seen the Bobber in person.
I'll send you a picture after the show. I think you'll like it. I mean, I don't know if you don't like it. You don't. For me, I look at it, I go, that's a sweet looking bike. I love me a flat black bike. It looks fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the full dresser touring, a fairing.
Yeah, no,
bags,
and you would know a lot more about that shit than I do. You know, I'm only looking at them, you know, aesthetically. I don't know what's going on under the hood. You know?
Yeah,
and if they're not making good bikes, they're not making good bikes. I kind of thought that like Harley had bought them a while back, but that does not seem to be the case.
Polaris.
That was kind of my thought, like just because that shop was right next door to the Harley shop. I was like, Harley must have bought Indian or something like. But that does not seem to be the case at all, based on what we just listened to. So it's interesting, you know. I hope they turn it around, because I'm a Harley guy. You know, I don't own an actual Harley, but I do own a Harley in some sense, and I'd like to have another one someday. You know, if I was going to go buy a bike right now, like that, I'd buy a Harley for sure. You know, I'd buy something older that I could fix up and make look, unique. You know, like a Harley, you can always change them up and make them look different. I would never want something that somebody else can buy the exact same thing of. Like for me, I would want something unique. You know, like this bike is, you can buy more of them, but there's so few of them that it's not like you're going to see them ever. Like if you go out to a car show or a bike show or something like that, it'll be the only one there, guaranteed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was talking about it with those guys yesterday, and they were like, "Oh, that fucking thing." And I showed them a picture, like, "Oh, you know, it's a cool fucking bike. People see it." I got so many heads turns on this bike in San Francisco. You know, every time I go to a gas station, what the hell is that thing? You know, or I roll up in between cars, you know, at a stoplight, and they kind of hear a Harley and they look over and do a double take, like, "Holy shit, what the hell is that thing?" Yep. And to me, that's fun. That's cool. Like I like being unique. I've always been, you know, kind of different and fucking prick.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you don't want to be run of the mill.
Shit.
That's one of the big jokes in like the Harley world. Like, you know, you go to a bar or whatever and see some other dude that's clearly a biker or whatever, and you know, you're like, what do you ride? I'm like, oh, I got a Road Glide. Oh, is it black? They're like, yeah. What do you ride?
Fuck
oh,
you.
I got a Street Glide. Oh, black. They're like, yep. Yeah. You know,
bag. Fuck bag. Yeah, well. All right, let's switch gears. Donald Trump was interviewed by Elon Musk the other day. I have not listened to it yet. I don't know that I will. I decided that we'd save the Donald Trump stuff for last, because usually if I start talking shit about Donald Trump, we lose all listenership immediately. So at least this one's at the end.
Yeah,
so
very
here's
wise.
CNN.
Very wise.
Yeah. So yeah, right. So here's CNN on the interview.
I want to play one exchange that was kind of classic. Well, there were a lot of exchanges that were classic Donald Trump, but this one really stuck out to us.
And Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're like full cities again. So it's really not something that, you know. So it's not as scary as people think, basically.
So that was more Elon Musk than Donald Trump, talking about, sort of suggesting that what happened almost 80 years ago, I think 80 years ago next year, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, now it's okay. Kind of trying to blow off the impact of that.
These people are just so sick. It's so depraved what they do. They were talking about nuclear energy. They were saying that people are terrified of nuclear energy because of the fallout, but Hiroshima and Nagasaki are fine now. He's not saying that it was okay to bomb them and nuke them. He was saying that the radiation is gone. That's all he was saying. He famously went over to what's that fucking place that had the nuclear power plant in Japan? You know what I'm talking about. I don't remember the name of it, but they had that meltdown in Japan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. I don't remember what it was called. Elon went over there and ate fish like immediately because he's a nuclear energy guy. Yeah, Fukushima, that's the one. It's salt in the ocean. I mean, the ocean is massive. That thing, you cannot destroy an entire ocean with one meltdown, and like you can eat fish there. It's Elon Musk's a smart guy. He wants a nuclear power plant powering his Tesla factory. And why the fuck wouldn't you? Of course you want your own power plant. I'd want my own power. I think
cleanest source of energy.
We should have fucking nuclear reactors small enough that my HOA can buy one. You know? These things are fancy steam engines. They're not as hardcore as people think. It's literally you just put hot rocks in water.
Yeah, but if people realized that and understood that, then, you know, how would they be able to? The coal industry would just be decimated, and then they wouldn't be able to charge you.
And what about the
so
windmills?
Much every month. And then, my God, you'd be able to run your AC at 69 degrees all the time. Like that's just no, we can't have that.
Absolutely not. Yeah, man. I just lost what I was going to say. It was funny, though. Maybe it'll come back to me. Maybe it won't. Anyways, it's nuclear power is great. It's the shit. Like, that's what we should all be running on. I mean, We've had these things since. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I was watching this video the other day about wind energy. It was on it's Interesting Engineering. It's just an engineering YouTube channel where they just go through different machines and explain how they work. And it was a very controversial video because this is like a mainstream type of guy. You know, this is a lot of leftists watch his shit. And the title of the video was The Problem with Wind Energy. And as we all know, there is no problem with wind energy. So he got raped on that one. But what I never thought about, and makes perfect sense, these things wear out because of the gearbox. So you've got this massive blade that's doing like 40 RPMs essentially. In order to produce energy out of that, you have to have a countershaft spinning at 1800 RPMs. So how do you go from 40 RPMs to 1800? A massive fucking gearbox.
Big old
tranny. Got these blades that are, and you're just producing so much torque, and you're just hammering torque into this gearbox, and they can't take it. It makes perfect sense. Like, I never thought about it, but you can't have a massive gearbox like that that's just getting hammered and expect it to last forever. Dirt bike gearboxes don't last forever. You know, the gearboxes on the race bikes that these guys run last a couple hours. You do like 4 or 5 hours on those bad boys, and you got to swap them out. Pro Circuit sends their stuff over to England. They send all their gears there to have them like, I don't remember what it's called, but they put like ceramic balls in them and like run it through this thing. It's kind of like a sandblaster, but with ceramic, and they like smooth out all the gearboxes, and apparently it works really fucking good.
That's interesting. That's one thing. That's one thing I thought about recently. Like especially with Harleys, the amount of weight that most people haul around on them, how heavy the bike is, just with no riders or no luggage and everything. I really don't see that many transmission problems. I mean, maybe I don't know if it's just that it's
a badass bike.
It's pretty impressive.
It's a badass bike.
How there's not.
They're air cooled.
Well, now they're all the new ones are now.
Oil cooled.
No. So they were all air cooled. They went to kind of, they had an oil cooler radiator. They went twin cool.
I know they did a full-on radiator for the V-Rod, right?
Yes, but that was a Porsche engine. But all the 2024s now are, I can't remember if it is actually technically liquid cooled now, or if it's also they had what they called twin cooled, where it was oil cooled with the oil radiator, cooling radiator, and then they also had a cooling system that had coolant that only ran through the heads. But the 2024s have a different setup, and I fucking can't remember, and I don't know. I'll look it up and I'll report back to you.
It doesn't matter if an engineer is woke or not, right?
Yeah.
Because an engineer is still a fucking engineer. And these guys who build bikes, they're some of the baddest engineers on the planet. You got some of these like engineers in Japan that are working on these Honda bikes. These guys are some of the smartest fucking people in the world. I rode this bike from San Francisco. Well, I rode it to my line school in Ontario from San Francisco, which is a couple hours. You have to run through Sacramento and up towards Chico. On the way home, it was like 120 degrees. It was so fucking hot. Like, I was in cutoff t-shirt, and like riding, it was so hot that I could feel the heat off of the blacktop on the bottom of my arms. And I was like terrified that this thing was going to overheat because it's air cooled. It's got a little oil cooler in it, but I mean, for the most part, this thing's fucking air cooled. And I was stopping, mostly stopping for me because it was so hot. But man, the fucking heat light never even came on once. I was so fucking impressed. How do you do that as an engineer? I'm going to make an air cooled bike that can fucking run in 120 degree weather, and I'm on the freeway doing 85 miles an hour. So I'm like I'm cruising back roads, and I guess maybe 85 on the freeway is better air cooling than slow riding. But I was still I was so impressed with the bike.
It also depends a lot on gear ratio and and then translates to RPMs, and then translates to generated heat and stuff. But Yeah, I see. I mean, with that thing, it's way lighter. So that makes a lot more sense. But with like a fully loaded bagger, like we see all, every day going to and from Sturgis right now, it's the poor bikes.
Yeah. It's an incredible feat of engineering. I mean, it's wild the amount of abuse these bikes can put up with.
You know, because you're experienced, so you know, and you can feel the heat, and then you know when you might need to upshift and drop your RPMs, drop your speed a little bit, be a little easy. But a lot of these people have no clue what they're doing, and just
running wide open in fourth gear.
Yeah, man. And then people just come off the highway and they're like, "Oh, I got this check engine light." I'm like, "Yeah, man, your bike's screaming for help." Ease up off it.
People don't understand. When my buddy TJ bought his first dirt bike, I was kind of explaining how badass they are, and I'm like, "You don't realize, man. That piston is going at 13,000 RPMs. You can't even grasp that in your mind.
Comprehend
13,000 RPMs, and they're doing it for 40 minutes. Hayden Deegan is on the pipe on that fucking Yamaha for 40 minutes, and they're just incredible. When we'll get back to this in a minute, but this is a kind of a cool story. So when I got my first 4-stroke, I got the first Kawasaki 250F, and that bike was a piece of shit, just a total piece of shit. It had a steel frame. Soft, the seat was fucked up. The aerodynamics were all fucked up on it. It was their first 4-stroke. And back then, if you remember, right, James Stewart was a Kawasaki rider, and he was just coming up into the 125 class, and he smoked everybody on a 125 the year before, even the guys on the Yamaha. Nobody was even close to him. And that year, he rode the 125. And I remember... And I don't know why I thought this, but I remember that he decided to ride the 125 because he wanted a challenge. He didn't want to just smoke everybody. He wanted a challenge. But I heard an interview with one of the guys from Kawasaki just a few weeks ago, and he said that the reason that James didn't ride that 250F is because it wouldn't last 30 minutes with him on it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They couldn't do it. They had to go to the 125. And And I mean, we talk about crazy engineering. A 125 is just an incredible machine. I'm so bummed that we're on 250Fs now instead of 125s. When you watch the old races with guys on 125s, man, you make one fucking mistake and it can trash your entire lap. Those bikes were just so hard to ride. You had to just be wide open on the pipe all the time. Most guys were on the clutch all the time. James never ran a clutch. He was never on the clutch, which was just incredible to watch him ride that bike at peak RPM with no clutch. Just fuck, man. It's incredible. It's incredible. I'm so glad that I had a 125 because a lot of guys go to the 250F straight away now, and you don't learn how to carry momentum in the same way as you do on a 250 or as on a 125. You have to carry momentum on that bike. I was watching this is a cool thing too. There's a kid named Levi Kitchen who's a really good pro circuit Kawasaki rider right now, and he's from Washougal. So the day after the race, they left the track kind of how it was. They might have groomed it a little bit, and they brought him out on a KX 252 stroke, only him on the track, and they were just filming him. And dude, the bike was clean. Looked like it had 0 laps on it. I don't know how many laps he did for that video, but not many. The bike was fucking clean, right? And he is just throwing these monster upside down whips over one of these jumps. Just fucking wild. You're holy shit. And you think about it, and it's this guy's got 20 minutes on this bike, and he's able to just throw upside down whips like nothing. Where on a 450, I never had a 450, so I don't really have the knowledge of this, but essentially the 450 is a hard bike to ride. A lot of these guys that go from the 250F to the 450 don't do well. And it's because, and I never knew this, but this is going to make perfect sense to you. It's because of the crank. Rotating mass. That fucking 450 has got a big ass crank on it, and it just wants to drive you forward all the time, no matter what. So it's just really hard for these guys to ride. If you tossed him on a 450, same suspension, there's no way he's throwing upside down whips. It's just not going to happen. You need so much time to figure that bike out. But a 252 stroke, man, you jump right on that bastard, and it's just easy to ride, drift in the rear end everywhere. It's just a cool fucking bike, and it's a bummer that like the AMA and Feld and whoever else was a part of like bringing the 4-strokes in fucked up so bad. They fucked up so bad. They started with the 400, and the guy won on the 400 in the first year. That should have been a big red flag to everybody. Like, holy shit, this bike is... You shouldn't be able to win on this bike the first year, the first time anybody's made this. Like, we need to settle down and figure out the right displacement so it's still competitive with 252 strokes. Yeah. Right now, a 252 stroke is not even competitive with a 250F. Like, you could make a factory 252 stroke that would be competitive with one, but like, I think they should allow the 252 strokes into the 250 class so the privateers could actually ride the 250 class. You can't ride the 250 class anymore because as a privateer, you've got to jack your bike up so fucking much to be able to compete with these guys off the start that you can't afford to rebuild it all the time. Yeah. You know, if I could go back and race again the way I did, I wouldn't have bought a 250F. Like when I decided to buy that new bike and get back into racing when I like moved in with John and shit. Yeah. That was back then the path to pro was through the 250 class. Nobody jumped straight into the 450 class, but now guys are jumping straight into the 450 class. And that would have been perfect for me. I'm, 6'2", 185 pounds at the time. And a 250F did not like me on it, and I was just banging my head against the wall trying to beat these 150 pound kids on a bike that like my bike was incredible. Like my KX 250F was fucking incredible. That bike, like I remember riding John's 250F and expecting it to be way faster than it was because of the amount of money that he had into it. But man, that bike was fast and I just wasn't competitive. It was never going to happen. I think I got into the top 10 like once in the pro class, but like when I was racing my 252 stroke, I was smoking people at Washougal. And I don't know why it never occurred to me, like, just buy the 450, and the problem is I had a hard time on the 252 stroke because I was so light. I had a hard time with the suspension. If I had the suspension right, I could scream on that bike and I could win. But if the suspension was off just a little bit, I was just getting tossed around and I couldn't handle it. So my thought was going in is like, I don't want to deal with that 450. I don't want to have to deal with that. I like the 250. I like a 250. I like riding the 250 the way it's supposed to be ridden. And it's going to be really hard for me if I get a bike again now and I'm going to have to get a 450 because the only way I'm really going to be able to ride is to like put a quick shift on and just ride low RPMs in third and fourth gear. Yeah. Like that's, otherwise on a 250, I'm going to have to be banging the clutch all the time. Mm-hmm. And like most of the bikes now have a hydraulic clutch on them. So how do you fit a hydraulic clutch and a hydraulic brake on the same side of the handlebars? I don't know. The only bike that's got a cable clutch now. It can be done. I think it probably can. But the only bike with a cable clutch right now is the Yamaha, and the Yamaha's like rip your arms out of the sockets fast, which is not going to be good for me.
Rip your arm out of the socket?
Yeah, out of the actual socket, the prosthetic socket. Yeah, it's Have you seen any of the new Yamahas? Have you seen what they did with their motors?
No.
They turned the motor around.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, they turned it around. So now the exhaust is in the back and the intake is in the front. The pipe wraps all the way from the back around one side and then goes back out the other. And they got the air filter up front. It's the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. You get an air first and the bike screams. Like Makes the bike sense. Fucking screams. Like as far as like stock 250Fs go, none of them compare with the Yamaha. The bike's just so much faster. They're able to put a bigger throttle body on it because they're able to put the intake up in the front, and the thing just screams air, pulling air like crazy. All right, let's finish this up. Oh shit, we're over time. We'll do this real quick. We played this clip a couple months ago, maybe a year ago now. This was towards the beginning of the Ukraine war when everybody was like, oh, who cares about nukes? They're not that bad.
If we can do that, if we can hit the asteroid, could we do that with nuclear weapons? Because it's getting a little chippy out there with Putin. And I don't, I mean, I love Ukraine, but do I love them enough to get radiated?
But you can't do nothing, right? I mean,
he doesn't love Ukraine. He doesn't know anything about Ukraine. He doesn't know anyone in Ukraine. How do you love Ukraine? You knew shit about Ukraine until the day it was invaded and you had to take a side.
Yeah.
If in fact there's a tactical nuke that's used by Putin, obviously there needs to be a response.
Okay. Well, plus modern nukes don't have the radiation problem. Just
that's
to
a good
be clear.
thing, right?
Really?
You'll still blow to smithereens, but yeah, it's a different kind of weapon than the Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Nuclear weapons, if they're exploded, don't have a radiation problem?
Not if there's hydrogen bombs, no. Not in the way that we used to have to worry about it with fallout and all the rest of that. What you really have to worry about is being vaporized, and after that, if you're not vaporized, blown to bits by the shockwave. That's a way bigger problem that you're going to have.
I'm not worried about that. I'm not. I mean, this is news to me. This is why it's great to have a scientist.
Wait, just to be clear.
Yes, be clear.
I want to just put on the table. The nuclear weapons, their very existence birthed the Cold War and all of the putting the world holding the world hostage for 60 years, or 50 years it was. That's a travesty in the history of civilization. But what I want to say is there's a reaction to nukes that is a little bit out of proportion with what they actually do.
Here's why I'm worried.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried that Putin was going to send his entire ICBM arsenal over here and nuke America. If he did, I'd just kiss my ass goodbye. What I was worried about, and a lot of people are worried about, is, and I've heard this about India and Pakistan also, if they exchange their nuclear weapons, that the radiation in the atmosphere would come over here, would go all over the world, even if it was just a local exchange. Now you're telling me that is not a worry?
If they use fission bombs, yes, that would be the case.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Okay.
Well, what is that what they have or is not? What kind of...
He can't even speak.
All right.
He can't say anything.
Gonna move on.
This fucking guy.
Let's just hope you're right about they don't have radiation. Because if you start escalating a nuclear war, then, I mean, I'm just saying, maybe it's the right thing to die for the Donbass province being on one side of that border. But it's going to be, I mean, is that what you want the average American to say?
So, Bill Maher and Neil deGrasse Tyson start talking about nuclear war, and hey, it's not a big deal. The radiation's nothing. We can nuke Putin. Who cares? But Donald Trump and Elon Musk talk about nuclear energy, and all of a sudden, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world as we know it. I asked ChatGPT. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Well, anyways, I asked ChatGPT if fission bombs were more powerful than, I asked ChatGPT if he was right, and ChatGPT said, no, absolutely not. Hydrogen bombs create way more nuclear fallout. So he's not even right, which is just fucking incredible. Unbelievable, these people. Last one, and then we'll get out of here, just because I don't want to have to play it again next week. This was the most interesting clip, I thought, from what I've seen of the Elon Musk, Donald Trump interview, and here's where we'll lose the audience. So let's play it last.
Inflation, it doesn't matter what you make. The inflation is eating you alive. If you're a worker or if you're just a middle income person, you can't afford. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, people were saving a lot of money. Today, they're using all their money and borrowing money just to live. It's a horrible thing that's happening, and we'll end that quickly.
Well, I think a lot of
he's going to end that by lowering interest rates and
don't
making things
understand
worse.
where inflation comes from. Inflation comes from government overspending because the checks never bounce when it's written by the government. So if the government spends far more than it brings in, that increases the money supply, and if the money supply increases faster than the rate of goods and services, that's inflation. So really, we need to have we need to reduce our government spending, and we need to re-examine. I think we need like a government efficiency commission to say like, hey, where are we spending money that's sensible? Where is it not sensible? And we need to live within our means. We're currently adding, I think, $1 trillion to the deficit roughly every 100 days. That's right. And the interest payments on the national debt have now exceeded the defense budget. It's on the order of $1 trillion.
It's interest,
and it keeps growing.
Let me ask you a question. This is an Ask Nolan. Which president spent more money than any president in history?
Ooh, I mean, if I had to shoot from the hip, not really knowing much because I wasn't really politically aware too much, I would guess either Biden or Trump.
Trump. Yeah, Trump spent more money than any president in the history of our country. I think that the Biden administration has outspent him at this point, but up until that point, he spent. The reason people still had money 4 or 5 years ago is because inflation hadn't gotten baked into our actual prices. Like, it doesn't happen right away. Trump spent so much fucking money. And like, this is so annoying to me because Elon clearly understands what inflation is. He gave a very good definition for it, but he seems to just be ignoring the fact that Donald Trump spent more money than any president in history. How is he going to rebuke his previous policies and say, I fucked up? Because that's what really needs to happen. I fucked up. I spent too much money, and we're in a mess now. But I know why I fucked up this time, and this is what I'm going to do. All he's really going to do is lower interest rates. That's all he wants is lower interest rates because that's what's good for him. It's always been what's good for him. You can make money on low interest rates. Interest rates go up, business gets bad. I don't think that Trump understands inflation. I really don't. I don't think he could give you a great definition on it. I think that he just looks at it as price go up.
Or he does, and he's just trying to cash in on the, on the sundown of his life and
well, he went to the Bitcoin conference. I don't know if you heard anything about that, but he did speak at the Bitcoin conference, and he did well. He doesn't understand Bitcoin. He called a stable coin a staple coin at one point because he was reading off the teleprompter and had no idea what he was reading. And like I've talked with my buddies about this. I don't care if he doesn't really understand Bitcoin. If he's going to use it for political capital, fine, as long as you're doing it responsibly and doing it for the right reasons. If you're just coming to get our votes because you think it's good political capital and you're not actually going to do any of the shit that you say, then fuck off. Like, we don't need that. But if you are going to, rebuke your previous spending habits and like actually lower spending for once, that we've never lowered spending. No president has ever lowered spending.
What?
Compared to the previous one. It always goes up.
What?
Every fucking year.
No fucking way.
All right. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Maybe you'll have a new boss by then.
Hey, we're privately owned.